Let's start with gold.
Gold.
Yes. So the last time we talked, we did talk about this move, and I'm pretty sure you did not catch it.
No.
So when God made the move up, right, we were watching God to come back to this point, and then we're waiting to see what it tells us when it reaches this point. So I'm not going to remove all of my zones because I really don't want to redo them, but we were watching God to come back and retest this area, right? But then if it is possible, we were also watching it to break it, but only if it comes back down to retest this area that it broke out. Because if we do look at this area, let's look at this area. Okay, so we watched God make this drop, right? This drop, and then we were watching price to reject this area right here. This is the area that we're watching God to reject. That's where we had our buy limits. Yeah, so price did reject the area as we were suspecting it, because if we look at our daily time frame, like we talked about on the daily time frame, price is consolidating around this area. Okay, if you can notice that we have candles
Yeah.
that are next to each other. So we were
Yeah.
watching price to be consolidating around this area. I think it's doing the same thing it did if you look to your left right here. And then with the same thing that's happening right here. So we might see price come all the way up here and then reject and then fall all the way down. The same thing it did around here. The only thing that's different from this area and this area, right, is when price was ranging this side, right, it was falling. It wasn't fall, it wasn't making that much of a big fall, but it was creating lower highs or high lows. What is it? Either way, it was falling. But then this price action, it's not really falling, it's pushing price up. If you can see, it keeps making new lows, new
Yeah.
highs and new
New
lows.
high.
Yes. So we might get a break above, because if you remember what we've talked about, right? We said if price is ranging, for example, like this, right? We shouldn't be getting we shouldn't be getting a range at the top of our range. Because if we get a range at the top of our range, right, then price, it's most likely it's accumulating to break above. But if we were getting a range at the bottom, right, then it will be most likely price will break below.
Yeah.
So let's go on our 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Price is creating new lows and new highs. We had a high here, then price came back all the way to retest this low, right? Retested this low, and then now we have price and impulse correction. This could be possibly an impulse, and we might have price even dipping above to create a new high. This is very much possible, because even if we look at our daily time frame, right, if you look at this area, our high of the range was initially here. Price
Yeah.
actually broke out and created a new high. It broke out and created a new high. So it's most likely that we might have price creating another new high instead of actually going back down to our range. And this even makes more sense with the fact that if you remember our reversal patterns, this is a
Yeah.
W formation at the bottom of the range. We have a W formation, right? So
Yeah.
we can get a range to push price up, and we said if we have a breakout from our reversal pattern and we get a range at the top, it's most likely price will continue pushing up. It's the same thing that happened with New Zealand dollar. We would do
Yeah.
this now, but if price keeps attempting to break this high, right, we should see price going higher. I'm on the 1-hour time frame now. So we have price dropping here, right? And then with price rejecting this high, and then price came back down to retest this low, right? And also the area that it broke out from. And then now we have price around here. But for price to break around here, right, I would very much like to see some sort of a new low before price pushes any higher.
Yeah.
Because price did break out of this range. If I go on my 30-minute time frame to see the range clearly, we had a range right here. Price broke out of this range. We had right here a range right here, and price broke out, right? And this is the last small consolidation that we had. There's a consolidation right here, because you do have this candle, right? You have a wick right here, and then you have this candle printing inside of this candle. So that means there was a small consolidation happening around this area, and price broke out. When price broke
Gotcha.
out of this range, right? So
Yeah.
price did create a new low right here, but for us, or for me, oh, this is gold. I would expect a bigger drop first before price pushes any higher. But if we don't get a big drop, right, and price reacts to this new low, as you can see, it created a new low, and then with a strong bullish candle. And looking at the move earlier on, price is in a strong, price has strong bullish pressure. So we might even just see a small consolidation around this area, right, respecting this low for it to push higher. But the trick is, if price is respecting this low, right, and if it is going to break this high, right, I want you to watch out for not to sell, but you're looking out for buys, right? So I would like you to watch out for price dipping below for a bit, right, and then push higher. So you want price to leave a wick below. If you see price leaving a wick below and coming back to close back inside the range, right,
Yeah.
you can actually enter for buys. But then you also have to keep in mind that if you're entering in the range, that's a little bit of a risk. It's an early entry, but it's a little bit risky, but it gives you a tighter stop loss. But if you enter when it breaks above here, then that's much more of a safer entry.
Okay.
Yes, right now it looks like it is going to break, considering that it has a lot of bullish pressure, so it might.
Yeah.
So this is on gold. So what we're looking out for is for gold to push higher. We would very much like to catch an entry around this area. So one can even set buy limits around this area, or maybe this area, or even between, like just around this area is good. So we can set our buy limits around this area in case if price doesn't break out from here, because right now it looks like it is going to break. So if someone is entering right now anticipating this break, I wouldn't enter at this moment, because if we check our time, right, 9 o'clock is passed. That's our time for high volume, right? So the next time for high volume is New York opening. That's at 2 o'clock, and right now it's only 11:15. So it's most likely price might fake us around this area before it actually pushes higher. And that's what price has been doing. It's very similar to this. It ranged all of the beginning of London session, and this was towards the opening of New York, and then New York stock market, it made the move, because we had been waiting for this move the whole day. Only towards New York stock market opening that it made the push. So we could get the same thing today. It might range until New York opening, and then New York opening we might see price drop a bit. That's why we're saying we could set our buy limits around this area, and then towards New York stock market, that's when we might get the push up. But if the bullish pressure is that strong, we might as well just get the breakout now, if that bullish pressure is that strong. But if it's not, then we might see price playing around.
Yeah. Nice.
Now, you can set your buy limits if you want to around this area. Most likely price will push down and then push up before it goes anywhere. I want us to look at New Zealand dollar. All right, so this is New Zealand dollar. All right, we have done this a couple of times. So we had our downtrend, and then price created our reversal pattern, which we both know that New Zealand dollar likes to do this W formation or M formation, and it actually pushes in the direction of that reversal pattern. So we were sticking to this very strongly, and price pushed higher, and it did a breakout around here. After it did a breakout around here, right, we discussed how much price might range around this area before it pushes any higher. And that's what it did for weeks. It ranged first, it accumulated enough sellers for price to push higher. And I even mentioned in the group that this breakout was probably going to happen Wednesday, which was yesterday, and it did. So that's where the news come in. There were New Zealand dollar interest rates that were released yesterday, and price gave us this reversal pattern a bit earlier than expected, right? And then price ranged the whole time. So the more we see price doing the whole range right here, right, and we notice that price probably not going to break anytime soon, we then go onto our news and check, is there any important news that's about to happen? And that's why we checked last week, and then we noticed that there were New Zealand interest rates that were coming up this week. So we were anticipating the breakout, but we also knew that it wasn't going to happen without news. This was in preparation for news. News was already priced in, and price trade around this area until the news came out. So that's how also you can actually target news. If you see a pair making a strong move that in, then it gives you a reversal pattern, but it keeps ranging and it won't move away from that price. That means its price is news has been priced in, right? And price is just waiting for that day. So you can actually catch the move without having to do much, especially when it comes to news. If it's priced in and if your analysis is good, you can catch the news because your analysis should go according to that because it's already priced in a long time ago. Like right now, we knew that price will range around this area. Around this area before it goes higher, and it did range. Even if we go on the 1 hour time frame, we discussed about this area a lot. We said we even wanted price to dip below, to even dip to around this area, right? So that price can give us that fake out. When price gives you a fake out, it's most likely going to follow in that direction. So that's why we had our stop losses around this area. I know I mentioned this trade a long time ago with entries around here, but I know no one took them. But well, it's going very well. So we had our stop losses way below around this area because we were expecting price to make a dip down before it pushes higher. And on Tuesday, we watched price around this area and it was pushing down, right? And then we saw price come back up. And then we also discussed how when news come out, right, we could get a week that will come down, take out people's stop losses and then push high. And that's what price did. We had this week that came down, probably took out people's stop losses, and price pushed higher. So when I said you should always wait for the candle to close, even if it's just 15 minutes, right? As you can see, price came down and then it came back to close up. So this was our our signal to enter.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to enter now and watch price do this, give us this new low, right? You still could have entered when price break this minor high it had created around here.
Yeah.
Which price broke out, right? And still even came back down to retest it and then push higher. So
Gotcha.
if someone had missed out these entries, right, they would have entered around this area.
Mm-hmm.
So there were countless opportunities for people to enter this trade. And because of the clean traffic, remember before even the reversal pattern happened and it hit this low, we discussed about how price broke out around this area and we had clean traffic here. So price was bound to consolidate around these areas and then cover up this clean traffic. And that's exactly what it did. Even though it ranged a while before, it then covered all this clean traffic, and it did, as you can see to our left, covered all the clean traffic, gave us a new low right here. We have a new low right there, and price seems to be pushing up. If price also have strong bullish power, as you can see. Also, one thing you should note: New Zealand dollar and odd USD very much connected to gold. If we look at gold right now, it's pushing higher. If we look at New Zealand right now, it's also attempting to break, which is funny because this one at the moment, it's the New Zealand dollar that's working. Same thing if we look at gold. They produce a lot of gold, so that means the currency is very strong at the moment. That's why it's pushing higher. If I were to look at pound USD right now, it's not really moving as well as New Zealand dollar. Like, it's moving in the direction that we want it to, but not as well as New Zealand dollar is. As you can see, it only moved this much, and New Zealand dollar moved that much. So we could get it actually break above this area and continue all the way to the next high, but I'm not really expecting that at the moment.
Gotcha.
Because if we are to look at our market structure, right, if we look at this, price is in a downtrend, right?
Yeah.
And price broke this support, right? And then it created a new high right here. Like, our initial high is here, but it created a new high right here, right? So that means if price breaks this high, right, it's going to reach this high, and this is the last high price needs to break for the trend to change. For a trend to change, it needs to break two supports or two resistances.
Okay.
So this would be our first resistance, and this would be our second resistance. So if it breaks this one, we can see price reach this area, but after it reaches this area, it's most likely going to reject, because if it breaks this area, price is now in a bullish trend. And if we are to check our daily, what can we expect? Let's check our daily time frame. All right, our daily time frame, we have a bullish trend, and then price came back down, right? So maybe we could look at this as 1, and then we could look at this as 2. Probably reacted to around this area. Should have reacted around this area actually, or it technically did. And then this could be our 3. So for this to be our 3, price needs to break resistance 1 and resistance 2. From there, price will definitely break, retest, and then go higher, just like this, most probably.
Yeah.
But if it rejects this high, we definitely will find price coming back to this low. However, the reason why I'm saying I wouldn't want to see a breakout right now or enter the breakout, right, at the area that it's at right now, right? It's because it might have retested on the lower time frames, right? If you can see like this retest and this retest on the lower time frame, right? But if we are to look at the 1 hour time frame or even the 4 hour time frame, price hasn't retested. So price can do whatever it wants on the lower time frame, but if it hasn't retested on these time frames, right, or on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame, it's not going to go that much higher. So price gave us a new low right here, right? So this is the new low that price needs to break for it to retest. So for you to enter a sell, right, you would want to see price coming back to break this low, and then you enter your sell with first TPs around this area, second around this area, and that's it. You can enter a third TP for your price to reach support, but I wouldn't bet much on it. Price is most likely going to reach this area before it starts consolidating and reverses. The same thing that happened on gold. If you look at gold right now, like what we said, as you can see, sorry about the lines, but if we look at gold, gold rejected the low, right? It rejected the low right here. It rejected the low, made a huge push up, reached resistance, consolidated, and then pushed lower to retest before it pushed anyway up. So if you're going to break, if it was yesterday and we were looking out for a bullish breakout here, that would have been very wrong, because price had to retest first or grab liquidity, accumulation, whatever you want to call it, before it pushes any higher. So we are very much expecting this drop. Anyways, back to New Zealand dollar. So today and tomorrow, we might find price consolidating around this area. If it does break out, that's fine. But I would very much like to see price coming back down, all the way down to at least this area right here. At least these areas right here. For it to push higher, at least price should come into this area. So we can even set our buy limits around this area for price to push higher. The same thing, exactly the same thing that gold did. If you look at gold, it pushed into this area, right? So when it pushed into this area, if you look at this, it made a low right here, right? Let's say price is only created this candle, right, and everything else after that is not there. When it created this low, right, we were expecting a rejection here, but we wanted price to dip out first before it pushed higher. So this dip out, right, was our confirmation that price should push higher. Price it out first, this dip out, this fake out, and then push higher. That's what we needed, and that's what it did. So that's why I say, if price is going to drop on New Zealand dollar, we might see price dipping out first. If it dips out of this resistance, if price dips out of this resistance and then price comes back to close back into this area, right? Even just around this area, if it dips out, comes back and closes around this area, you can even sell it with first TPs right here, second TPs, and third TPs. You even have a better entry than when you enter around this area. This is a safer entry, but an early entry would be around here if someone prefers to take the risk. And then you can even add more position when price breaks this low.
Gotcha.
So look out for price to break above. If you see it pushing higher, don't panic. Wait for price to come back and close around this area. If it closes around this area, enter your positions, because you have clean traffic here till it reaches the low. So that's also that's your first secured profits. Whatever it does after that, you can even add positions, but you have secured your profits already.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. And then we're going to look at eurusd. eurusd. I'm going to start on the daily. So if we look at our daily time frame, right, let's put our zones. We have a high right here that's been broken. It's not broken yet. Price is trying to break it. We have a low right here, and we have a breakout right here. Price broke out, but it hasn't retested. So whenever I see price trending, I always check for my most recent breakout, my most recent range, and that's my most recent range right here. If it broke out and if I don't see a retest, price is most likely going to retest. And then if it does break out above here, price will most likely come back to cover this candle. Clean traffic will cover clean traffic, but for a retest, clean traffic will cover clean traffic. So it's both ways will work. But what I have conflict with on EURUSD, for it not to go higher, right?
Yeah.
Price was ranging around this area. That's the one recent retest that we need to see, right? But before that, price has been pushing higher. See, we have price pushing higher. It ranged here, yes, but it pushed higher. But we don't really have a proper retracement. So if we don't have a proper retracement, right, then we're probably looking at this as one first impulse on the higher time frames. Like let's say this 4-hour time frame. If price is going to go higher, so if we're looking at this as one, then we'd want to see price coming back for 2 and then 3. We might even get price dipping into this area before it gives us the 3. So let's count our waves for this. We have, let's say this was 1, this was 2, this was 3, this was 4, and this is 5. So we might get A, B, C, which will give us a small range, and then we get the initial 1. So this becomes 1. I mean 2. Yeah. Sorry, I mean 2. So this becomes 1, and then this becomes 2. And then we can get our 3. Questions?
No, that was clear.
Yes. So right now, if someone is actually to sell right now to support that, they can actually sell right here, pushing price low, because we even have clean traffic for the retest. Price isn't it broke out, but it never retested on the 4-hour time frame or even the 1-hour time frame. That means price hasn't created new support. We still have this support that we're looking at, and price hasn't done anything. So we might see price coming back all the way down here before it pushes any higher.
Yeah.
Which would be very nice. So if we are looking to sell right here, right, then you want to sell when price breaks this low. However, the same thing that I explained with gold or New Zealand dollar, right? If you so happen to see price pushing higher, do not freak out.
Okay.
Sell it the moment price comes back below this area. The moment it comes back below this area, price is saying they have taken out all of the stop losses and they're going to push price lower. This normally happens for 10 pips. Price normally pushes out 10 pips before it pushes it goes into the direction that it wants. So what not other people, what I've been trying to look at is when you have a range, right, mark 10 pips. Ocean. Mark 10 pips above the range, right? And 10 pips also below, right? So when you see price dipping into your 10 pips and it doesn't close below, price comes back to close back in the range, then you know price is going to push higher. If you see price dipping above your 10 pips, right, but doesn't close above and it comes back to close back in the range, then you know price will push lower. So that's why we say we really like seeing ranges, because ranges give us a direction in the market. The fake out is the one that tells us, okay, price tried going in this direction. Maybe they took out all the stop loss they wanted to take out, and then price is gonna push lower. So if price doesn't dip out and give us the 10 pips we want here, and we see price making a strong bearish candle to this point, right, then wait for it to close just below this area, just below. Even if it just gives you a strong bearish candle right here, you can even sell price to the next low, which is right here. And you can set your second targets to around this area. It might reach this area. Right.
Nice.
Now, I want us to look at eurojpy. All right. This is eurjpy. We all know that this thing has been ranging between this point and this point. And what's funny about it, right, is it created a high right here, right? And this week created a low right here. And price has literally been ranging in between this candle. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but price has been ranging in between this candle. So I would say this is my make it or break it candle. If price wants to go lower, it has to break this low. If price wants to go higher, it has to break this high.
Gotcha.
So if we're looking at what's happening right now, I posted this trade, this eurojpy. I posted this eurojpy trade, right? We said this is why I posted the eurojpy trade. Price pushed higher, right? It failed to break this high, and then price created our reversal pattern. After it created our reversal pattern, it broke the low, right? And guess what price did when it broke the low? It ranged under. So this range, this was my signal. This was the confirmation. And on the confirmation, right, what made the confirmation even better, right, is we had a small range right here, right? And see, price dipped out 1 and 2, but still came back to close back in the range. So that was our first confirmation. It did dip down at the bottom, but still, I'm still considering this reversal pattern, and I know that price is ranging in between these 2 points. So price is most likely going to push lower also, maybe to around this area. If it breaks this area, then look for the trade to even complete a wick fill. This will be a wick fill trade if it breaks this low. So what we want right now is we want this candle right here, even if it's just a 15-minute time frame. We just want something. Oh, it did actually closing below. And this close below is the one that will keep pushing price lower. So since the 50-minute time frame closed below, we should get the 30-minute time frame closing below. Oh, it did. Okay. So for price to keep on pushing lower, we only need the 1 hour time frame to keep pushing lower. If it the 1 hour time frame closes anywhere around this area, we will definitely get price reaching this area. So if you're not entered and if you want to see price closing below as a 1 hour time frame, that's also fine. You can still enter it when it tries to retest this area, or if it closes around this area, then you can just enter because it's very close to our retest. So it might not even push high, it might just drop.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Wow.
So those are 3 trades to look out for today. Do you guys have any questions?
No, that's it. I would definitely keep that one in mind.
All right. Whenever you see a trade that's about to happen, please message me so that we can discuss it before you enter. Or if you are sure about it, you can enter. Then you can just let me know. If you are not, you just text me and then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. I have to end the stream here. I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the explanations. Can I go now? Bye.
Bye.
Bye.